I'm Greg Tepper. That's Greg Powers, and this is This Week
in Cruton.
I don't know why it was so intense. It's This Week in Recruiting with Greg Powers of Next Level Athlete. Follow him on Twitter at GPowersScout. Follow Next Level Athlete on Twitter, Next Level D1. See his fine work at TexasFootball.com/recruiting. Hey, Pickle, I got your email. Should I click on it?
I was hacked.
Oh,
it's been a day.
No, Pickle. It's This Week in Recruiting. Next Level Athlete. Follow him on Twitter at GPowersScout. Follow Next Level Athlete on Twitter at Next Level D1. See his fine work at TexasFootball.com/recruiting. And of course, this segment, let me cheer Pickle up.
Yeah.
This segment is brought to you by our good chicken friends at Chicken Express. Chicken Express, it always makes our producer smile.
That's 100% true.
That's a verifiable fact.
Yeah.
Like, we were, last time you and I went to Chicken Express together was on
our way back from 7
Yeah, I don't
on
remember
7.
what town it was.
Oh, I know, and that stinks because they had the cool Chicken Express hats with the name of the,
I know.
where it was the Speed Trap town.
one of the speed traps. Love you on the way back from College Station. But we stopped there, and I got to tell you, that was about as happy as I've ever seen Pickle.
It's a dreary day across the state of Texas today, and nothing will warm you up from the inside out like some Chicken Express.
This guy, he gets it.
Maybe I'll get that for lunch. Turn this day around.
Turn this day around. Yeah, you really can. It's This Week in Recruiting. Greg Powers, Next Level Athlete. A lot to get to. Our prospect on the rise, we start with, in Houston, A-Leaf Taylor, 2022 wide receiver Tyler King. He picked up an offer from Indiana. He is still committed to Texas Tech. This is a guy that I know has offers from places like Houston, UTSA, Memphis, etc. He picked up another Power 5 offer from Indiana this week. Big-time speedster. And I imagine the reason that we're talking about Tyler King is there may be maybe a thought that because of the coaching flux in Lubbock, that his recruiting could be more open than otherwise thought.
This is one of those guys, as we compile the DCTF Rising magazine, we have a chance to watch about over 450 new highlight tapes. And it's the end of the season where all these, 2021 tapes are being made available. And you can see right there, 4.2840, 10.21, 100-meter speed, 20.74, 200-meter speed. Tyler King could or should lay claim as to possibly being the fastest player in the state of Texas. I've got 3 guys who I think could be the fastest in the class of 2022. Brennan Thompson, Major Everhart, and Tyler King.
Yeah.
And his offer list, to me, is pretty good. You see a lot of teams in here. Houston, UTSA is undefeated. Memphis is having a really good season. He's committed to Texas Tech. He's going to play in the Power 5 level at worst, right? Like FBS level at worst. But he's one who I think could really take off, as there are possibly whispers that he could be taking a look around, and Indiana maybe could get the ball rolling on a lot of other offers. TCU's had some recent decommitments. We'll talk about that later. But there's going to be some movement, and this is the month. November is the month that the colleges try to shake out their recruiting classes, especially the first 2 weeks of November, because by the third week of November, you're starting to get your signing packet, and they're trying to lock down the time and plan for National Signing Day, which happens just past the second week of December around state championship time in Texas. Well, they try to get everything locked in November so that they can plan for that. When is the coach going to have his signing day conference? What time are you going to send in your letter of intent so we can make the announcement and get the graphic ready? There's a lot more detail put into this early signing period than there used to be 5 years ago. So a lot of I's got to be dotted and T's have to be crossed. And I think over the next couple of weeks that Tyler King is one of those guys that could really see his attention spike.
Watching these highlights from Tyler King, I'm struck by 2 things. One, so he's listed at 5'10", 160. I have to imagine if he was 5'11", 180, he might be going nutso, and everybody in America would be after him. I think that's part of it. The other thing about him that I think is amazing is every pass that's been thrown to him has been like 45 yards down it's just nothing but deep shots. Like, here comes another one. Watch.
Well, I mean, when you have that type of speed, you're just running past.
And
he's just running past people.
just go routes. Anyway, Tyler King from A-Leaf Taylor. Certainly we'll keep an eye on what's going on there.
Thanks, Indiana, for making that offer, because this was a guy I wanted to talk about.
Perfect.
So the timing worked out great.
Good job, Hoosiers. Well done. Let's go to our commit of the week. Our commit of the week is might as well be the flip of the week.
Yep.
The flip of the week. Katy wide receiver Nicholas Anderson. He has flipped his commitment. He's a 4-star prospect, number 47 in the DCTF Hot 100. He was committed to Oregon. He is now committed to the alma mater of his older brother Rodney, which is Oklahoma. They are able to flip the kid from Ducks to Sooners up there in Norman.
The number 8 rated Sooners.
Yes.
The number 8 rated Sooners.
Don't give me. You gotta stop.
On the flip side of what we just talked about, Tyler King, this week's recruiting notebook could be the wide receiver recruiting notebook, by the way, because everybody in it is a wide receiver.
Spoiler alert.
Anderson has the size and power to be that deep vertical threat consistently. And to me, his emergence in the Katy offense over the past few seasons has taken them from what I traditionally think of as like a power run attack. I know that they still are a power run attack team, but he gives them a different look to me. And that's what makes the Katy teams that he's played on special. He gives them a different wrinkle, a different element. You can't just stack the box all the time. You almost have to bracket him to try to slow him down. And if you do that, then that takes someone out of the box, and that makes the Katy offense even more dangerous. And he has as you touched on it, he has the lineage. His brother Rodney played at Oklahoma, and his other brother is Ryder Anderson, who's now at Indiana. So he has he knows what it takes to be successful in college. Let's say that.
It's funny because you mentioned Katy's offense, and I think you're right. The idea is that here is a guy, he plays in an offense that is going to run the ball most of the time. And that is true. They are functionally, if you ask Gary Joseph, what is your offense about? They are running the ball. But here's the thing about him is they're still throwing the ball. And when they're throwing the ball out of play action. And so he's getting that experience of running what it's going to be like in a more traditional quote unquote spread offense, right? In the sense that the timing routes, the understanding of what they're going to be, just because this is not like, I hate to say it, but like if you're a wide receiver on a slot T, that's a lot harder to get some good tape out there.
Right.
Instead, Nicholas Anderson is a guy who certainly has good tape out there. And these are the kinds of plays that are going to translate to the next level. That route right there is a route you're going to run 100,000 times in college. That's what they're going up against.
Caleb Williams is going to like this guy. I mean, he is a bigger-bodied, long wide receiver who runs good routes and can get open in what you're seeing here in a lot of 2 wide receiver sets out of the I formation. OU is going to spread the ball out a little bit more, and he's going to have more opportunity even than he has in high school.
We're talking This Week in Recruiting with Greg Powers, the next level athlete here on Texas Football Today. Get involved with the conversation at #TF Today. Let's get into our underclassmen of the week. Our underclassmen of the week, let's go to DFW. To Arlington Sam Houston to talk about their 2023 junior jumbo wide receiver, tight end wide receiver. You know what I mean? You guys know what I'm talking about.
Jumbo wide receiver is a good one.
What is Rob Gronkowski?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, he's deemed a tight end, but he's
a
not a tight end.
He's Gronk.
Yeah, he's Gronk. He's a jumbo. He's a jumbo wide receiver. Lafayette Kaioe is he picked up an offer this week from Texas. He already has offers from places like SMU, Kansas, and Boston College. Just 6'4", 190. Probably want to beef him up just a little bit before he gets to the next level. But for a junior and a guy with that kind of size, that's the kind of guy that all these offenses are looking for, right? They're looking for a big dude who can run.
Yeah, and I would say just watching his 2021 tape, he may be like up to 210 now. They did a little bit more work with him as an inline player on this year's tape, which he played more of a wide receiver role as a sophomore, but now he's starting to grow. And you can see here on this first clip what I'm talking about. He's a true red zone threat. Long arms, can go up and high point the football. But what I loved about just kind of breaking down him over the last couple seasons, when he was flexed out wide as a wide receiver, he is a dude who will block his A off. I mean, he really took it seriously, and I think that's what started to get him on some of these college radars early, because he was bigger framed and doesn't necessarily have the intangibles are close to the same for him and Nicholas Anderson, right? They're both listed at 6'4", 190. Kaioe didn't have the same type of top-end speed, so he's going to bulk up and probably be more of one of these flex options that will present a lot of mismatch trouble for college defenses. And there are a lot of these guys who are highly coveted right now in today's college game. You can get that smaller, quicker slot wide receiver, but you can also go after a guy like this who is going to present a mismatch body-wise. He's going to understand how to use his length and his size to outposition linebackers and pick up key first downs and make plays, around the goal line.
Yeah, it's a guy that we're going to get to know. And, Sam Houston's a program, I think they kind of get lost in the shuffle there in Arlington ISD because there's so many programs that put out big-time prospects. Martin kind of first and foremost, but Arlington High and Lamar and all these places put out big-time prospects. Maybe Sam Houston gets lost in the mix, but you need to know about Lafayette Kaioe, the junior wide receiver, tight end, kind of jumbo wide receiver out there. Let's round it all out with our Recruit of the Week. Our Recruit of the Week is Klein Kane wide receiver Matthew Golden. We're talking about Matthew Golden because he's a very good player, and he's excellent. He's a 4-star DCTF 4-star, number 38 in the DCTF Hot 100. We're talking about him most notably because he has decommitted. He was committed to TCU. He's now opened his recruitment back up, and afterwards, he got offers from Texas and Minnesota. He's already got offers from places like SMU, Houston, UTSA, Arkansas, etc., Cincinnati. I guess this is as good of an excuse as any to talk about what the Gary Patterson departure at TCU is going to do to their recruiting. They've got a small, but I would say pretty decent class put together right now as far as commitments are concerned. Guys like Jalen Gilbo, guys like DJ Allen. They lose Matthew Golden. Feels like what they need. It is imperative for whoever comes in to hold this thing together as best they can. But certainly losing a guy like Matthew Golden is going to hurt the TCU.
One thing that, looking at TCU's recruiting class currently, you mentioned some of the top guys, with Jalen Gilbo and DJ Allen still on the commitment list. DJ Allen is one who said that he is still committed, but he's now looking around. So I don't really know how seriously you can
you wonder if
say that he's committed.
First drop in a rainstorm.
Matthew Golden was the highest rated of the bunch right there on the offensive side of the ball, right there with Gilbo as being the marquee defensive name. And Texas wasted little time throwing their hat in the ring for Golden, who, as a matter of fact, earned that 4-star after we watched him play at the Texas State 7-on-7.
Mm-hmm. I remember
he showed
that.
his ability to, at 6 foot, 190 pounds, this guy catches everything. Anything that's in the vicinity, he is going to catch it.
I think I was sitting with you when you turned to me and you said, we're going to make him a 4-star.
Yeah, we did that day. We made him a 4-star, right?
Yeah,
there.
right there. It's like he's a 4-star.
So I love his game, and the thing that really jumps out to me, and this is something that SMU fans are getting to know about Dylan Goffney last year, is I think the most overlooked thing when you break down high school film, because a lot of these players are dominant at their level, right? Mm-hmm. He might be the best player in Klein. He is the best player in his city, and it jumps out on tape. But his hands are remarkable. And that will serve him well, not only transitioning to college, but if he ever has an NFL future, that's something that, that he has to have. You can't make drops once you get to the league, and he catches everything. Now, what's going to happen at TCU, that's a whole different conversation. It's really interesting looking at this class because they have guys, they have about 5 or 6 guys who everybody's going to want, right? And it'll be interesting to see who they hire because those 5 or 6 guys that coach is going to want. But Gary Patterson and his staff at TCU took such a unique approach to the recruiting process in general. They recruited unlike any other team that I've ever covered. They really weren't afraid to make offers to under the radar guys or go into unique areas into Louisiana to find what they would consider hidden gems. And how will the new coach, once he's named there, attack the recruiting process at TCU? I think that you have to be creative there.
Here's a perfect the guy that I think recently, I guess recent is certainly a word, the guy who may encapsulate that of the way that they recruited, the guy I keep going back to is LJ Collier.
Yeah.
LJ Collier was the defensive end at Monday, tiny 2A Division two player. He's now in the NFL, and those were the types of guys that Gary Patterson and that staff made hay on and got to, those are the guys that ended up kind of boosting that program to the heights that it is right now. And so now, what are they? Who are they going to bring in? I know that the name Jeff Traylor is going to be kicked around. Obviously, what he's doing there in UTSA. I had a friend, my brother. Okay, I'll just call it my brother. My brother is a tech grad. And so he's, of course, very concerned about who they're going to hire. And he asked me, he goes, let me ask you something about Jeff Traylor. Is Jeff Traylor, would him going over to West Texas impact his ability? Is his appeal regional in the sense that he's doing it in San Antonio, he's got, of course, great ties in East Texas and the Houston area, et cetera, et cetera. Is his appeal regional? To which I replied, I was like, no, I think it's the entire state. I think that he's a guy who can recruit the entire state and do it well. But that is, I know things, a lot of people are asking about, who people are going to hire. Sonny Dykes is getting name kicked around a lot. I think these are guys who can recruit the whole state. It just may be different as far as whoever ends up at TCU, it's just going to be a different kind of look. Excuse me, my goodness. That was brewing for a minute. It's just going to be different to whoever comes in is going to put their own stamp on TCU recruiting, and it's going to be different from what Gary Patterson did.
Yeah, I do believe that. This is an intriguing one to me because I know that Gary Patterson has went in and got some big wins on the recruiting trail. Mm-hmm. They've gotten some 4-star guys. They've gotten, Duggan was a huge national victory. Mm-hmm. This is a guy who had offers from a lot of schools, and he was convinced to TCU. And one thing that I found out over the last few years with talking with other coaches and coaches on the TCU staff is something that I found to be eye-opening, and it's this. TCU kind of feels like at times in recruiting in the state of Texas that they're just another school. Mm-hmm. But national recruits and recruits from other states view them at a better level than what maybe some of the in-state programs and recruits would look at them in because they're always rated usually in the top 25. So they have a more national appeal than what we probably give them credit for from the inside looking out. From the outside looking in, a lot of these players and schools look at them as a perennial top 25 team most years that has a national appeal. Mm-hmm. And that's why they started to take a more outward look to recruiting in recent years because they felt like they could go out into some of these other areas and entice some of these top recruits to come to Fort Worth. Mm-hmm. They're getting the new stadium rehaul. But I do think like UTSA, which has put an investment now into making their facilities better, that TCU does have some work to do with some of their facilities for that new staff. They did do the stadium overhaul, but their locker rooms, some of their facilities, if they get that investment, will help them continue to be a force in recruiting top talent to Fort Worth.
A guy who is always a force in recruiting. It's Greg Powers, Next Level Athlete. Follow him on Twitter, GPowersScout. Follow Next Level Athlete on Twitter, Next Level D1. See his fine work at texasfootball.com/recruiting.
Thanks so much for watching that video. If you would like more and to be notified when they come out, go ahead and click that subscribe button right down there. You can also watch Texas Football Today every day live at noon on texasfootball.com, Facebook, Twitch, and right here on YouTube. For more of the best coverage of Texas football in the Lone Star State, go to texasfootball.com/subscribe.